That's the part of this build that Ducati purists hate the most. There's nothing they like less than seeing people like me running bikes like this without covers on the timing belts, and they tell me that everything's going to go wrong and it's all going to explode. Well, so far so good, and anyway, I like the way it looks. Now, some of you will have seen this bike before when Vicky and I made a video about our comparable Sport Classic 1000s, and she tried to tell the world that her bike was better than mine. And it's a development of your bike.
This is the original.
No, I'm talking about it's rubbish.
This was the first one.
Well, clearly that's not the case, so I've asked Dan to make another new video so I can tell everybody why this bike is actually the better of the two. It started life as a Ducati GT1000, which was their attempt at taming the Sport Classic. It was a brilliant bike, but it really was an arse in the air, chin down, cafe racer with clip-ons, and the riding position was really extreme. And the journalists really hated it, and customers didn't buy many of them either. So what they did with the GT was they decided to turn the bike into a Grand Tourer, hence the name, and they put handlebars on it, and they put a big squishy comfy seat on it, and they shortened the tank, and they also lowered the footrest slightly. But other than that, underneath all of that, it was basically the same bike. And what I've done is I've tried to go halfway back to the cafe racer that this was meant to be. So just brushing over the details really quickly, I'd firstly like to say big thanks to Max and Ray at Ray Petty Meccanica, because they did a lot of the fabrication and welding and complicated bits that I couldn't do. Also to Callum at deBolex, who sorted out the exhaust and made all of that work for me and mated parts together that shouldn't fit. I also got a few bits from a guy called Giuseppe Starace, who makes these lovely carbon bits under the name of Star Ace. So thanks to those guys, this bike looks the way it looks. Obvious things first, the bike is now black, so it looks much cooler. Obviously black things are cool. This seat is what really transforms the bike though, and it's made in a kind of Imola cafe style, and it's a shrunken down version of the kind of thing that you used to see on the old racing 900 SS's, but done in a modern style. It exposes the frame, it's much less fat. Max did a great job with the tail tidy, making these tiny bullet Rizoma indicators fit. It also has Hagen shocks because we've lowered the bike at the front and the back by about 20 millimeters, which surprisingly enough only improves the handling and definitely improves the stance of the bike. I also have a pair of tubeless Alpina wheels, which are aluminium and much lighter than the heavy GT steel items that Ducati fitted as standard. Moving forward along the bike, down the bottom, we've got these guards put on the front of the belts, which replace the plastic covers that were there before, which will give some protection against stones being ingested into the belts. The pipe itself, which Callum sorted, was a Sparks end can mated into Conti downpipes made by Scorpion. Normally these items wouldn't work unless they're chopped and welded and sorted, so Callum made all of that work for me. Down the bottom, stopping the bike, we've got an upgrade on the Brembos into gold line calipers, and as you move up the bike, these needed proper big master cylinders and levers to make sure that those work properly, because actually if you just put those Brembos at the bottom and leave the standard levers on, you have to pump them twice to make the thing work. And then at the top end, we've got relatively flat bars from Rizoma with Rizoma risers. The clocks have been lowered, and pretty much that's it. It's really about tidying a bike up and restoring it to something that just makes a little bit more sense for the purposes that I had for it, which was to sit somewhere between being a street cafe racer and the comfy GT that Ducati tried to turn this into. And in some ways, I'd describe this bike as a lot like a Ducati Monster, but just in slightly retro clothing. And it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. And it also sounds amazing, as you heard earlier. Dan says I have to start it up again because he didn't hear it properly first time. So here we go. Sadly for me, this bike might be for sale. So I'll make my mind up after I've watched this video and decided if I just can't part with it. But if it is, you'll find it on the Bike Show Classifieds.